Welcome back to High Stakes. Elevate your game by subscribing to our channel so you never miss our daily content. For exclusive access to our premium betting picks, join our Patreon. Find the link in the comments section below. Stay ahead with High Stakes. New York Giants versus Houston Texans. The Giants dominated the Lions in their first preseason game last week with second-year pro Tommy DeVito, who had a successful run as New York's starting QB last year, seeing significant minutes under center. The Giants have won 2 of their previous 3 preseason games outright. They closed out strong against the spread last year, winning 6 of 7 games, including their final 3. Houston has lost their previous 2 preseason games at home, both outright and against the spread, and scored a meager 3 points in their last preseason contest in front of the home crowd. The Giants won outright and against the spread in their previous matchup with the Texans 24-16. With DeVito making the case for additional minutes in the upcoming contest and Houston reluctant to give starter Stroud too much exposure in the preseason, look for the Giants to take command of the game early and never look back. The stats and trends strongly support a New York victory against the spread on Saturday. Take the Giants with the points. New York has gone under the point total in 4 of their previous 5 preseason matchups, including their game against the Steelers last week, where their defense held their opponent to only 12 points. Giants opponents have yet to exceed 13 points in 3 of their previous 5 preseason games. The Texans went under the point total in their 2024 debut, scoring only 14 points and holding their opponent, the Detroit Lions, to just 3. Houston pushed or went under the point total, and their opponents failed to crack 19 points in 3 of their final 4 games of 2023. They have gone under the point total in 4 of their previous 5 preseason games. In last week's contest, they held the Steelers scoreless in the first half and limiting to 2 scores in the game. The Texans do not appear in a hurry to give their starters significant playing time, with C.J. Stroud appearing in only 1 series last week, so they may lack the firepower to add considerable points to the total. Most signs point to a lower-scoring affair in Houston on Saturday. Take the under. Detroit Lions versus Kansas City Chiefs. There is a major difference in how these coaches attack the preseason, as Dan Campbell is 3-7 in his career while Andy Reid plays his starters and is 46-48 during his career in the postseason. Looking at the backup quarterbacks, Carson Wentz, Ian Book, and Chris Oladipo are going to perform better than Nate Sudfeld and Hendon Hooker, which the latter combined for 3 points in the opening preseason game. All in all, go with the Kansas City Chiefs to win at home by a full possession or more. Neither offense looked too sharp in the first preseason game, as the Lions scored 3 points while the Chiefs totaled 13 points. Their defense combined for 40 total points, but both Detroit and Kansas City are going to play tough brands of defense to the point where they are going to limit what these offenses are going to be able to do against them. Go with under 39.5 points in this game as the better bet for this matchup. Cincinnati Bengals versus Chicago Bears. The Cincinnati Bengals coach Zach Taylor has announced that they will not be playing any of their starters on Saturday against the Bears. The Bengals without their starters will have problems facing a Chicago team looking to get their starters as many game reps in before the regular season. If Caleb Williams plays a couple of drives, which it looks like he will, he should have no issues going up against a Bengals team that last season ranked 27th overall in passing yards allowed. This, coupled with Taylor being 3-10 in the preseason so far in his career, I have to look for the Bears to cover the spread. Take Chicago at -5.5 points. Cincinnati came close to this total in their first game of the preseason against the Buccaneers with a final total of 31. Meanwhile, Chicago has gone over in both of their 2 preseason games. The Bengals are going to be punting the ball quite a lot, and as a result we should see the Chicago offense get plenty of drives and resulting in a high-scoring, one-sided affair much like their game in Buffalo. I am taking the over at 36.5 points. Atlanta Falcons versus Baltimore Ravens. Given that neither of these teams played their starters in Week 1 of the playoffs, it's a tough pick for Week 2 where the starters may get a series or 2 or play the entire half, but in recent matchups the Ravens have dominated, posting a 4-1 record in their last 5 battles dating back to 2006. With the more experienced Josh Johnson leading the Ravens' backups, the experience edge belongs to Baltimore. Juden and Simmons just arrived for Atlanta, and that should give them a huge boost in the regular season for their defense. But don't expect them to get reps with their new team. The Ravens should win a fun one at home. Last week, neither of their teams was at their best offensively, with each team tallying just 13 points overall, including neither squad topping 150 yards passing. And with two elite defenses going out there, Week 2 may be no different. While the starters playing may make a difference, the Ravens topped 21 points just once a year ago in the playoffs, and with the Falcons looking to get their chemistry going, it may be a slow process. So expect another defensive slug from two teams that may lean on that group heavily throughout the 2024 season. Take the under. Minnesota Vikings versus Cleveland Browns. The Vikings offense in their first preseason game against the Raiders came thanks to the arm and legs of J.J. McCarthy. Well, that is all gone due to his season-ending injury. The Vikings will turn to Sam Darnold, Nick Mullins, and Jaren Hall to play quarterback on Saturday against the Browns. The offense barely moved under those three quarterbacks last game. With the injuries piling up, the Vikings could be looking to just get out of Cleveland easily. I expect a low-scoring game, but I'm going to side with the Browns' defense and the playmaking ability of Jameis Winston and Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Those two quarterbacks played clean last week, and that could bode well to score 2 touchdowns and take the win. Take the Browns to cover. Offense never looks good in the preseason. When two backup quarterbacks are going after it in Sam Darnold and Jameis Winston, there shouldn't be that much scoring in this game at all. I expect the Vikings to play conservatively at points, especially with the injuries that have piled up this week. The Browns' offense looked out of sync last week against the Packers. Even though they are at home, I could see that happening once again. Take the under on Saturday. New York Jets versus Carolina Panthers. These two teams will meet up for joint practices in the days leading up to the game, which always goes a long way towards igniting the competitive sparks between the sides. This will be the first look at Young and Carolina's first offensive unit. This will be a good test for the young QB as he continues to try to establish himself in just his second season in the league. Carolina's offensive game plan should be very different from what we saw a week ago as well, and they can gain a little insight on the New York defense when the teams link up late in the week. The Riddick drama with the Jets is very real and is seeping into the weekend as both sides stand firm in their stances. This is also something that could go on for a while as well, but with it being such a fresh wound, expect it to affect the team slightly. Take the Panthers. In the first week of preseason games, these two teams combined to score just 23 points. Carolina's backup offense was very slow to get moving and at times was heading in the wrong direction altogether. The Jets were also using their second and third units in last week's action, but they were able to get things moving well enough to put up 20 points. Though they won't be using their first-teamers again, we can expect the Jets' offense to be similar to last weekend, especially since those guys who will play are already in motion. This is also a big week for guys fighting for roster spots. On the other side, we should get a series or two out of Carolina's first-teamers, which should only help their offense do a lot better than a week ago. The Jets won 27-0 when they met last preseason. I like for Carolina to contribute a bit more to the scoring this time around. Take the over. Seattle Seahawks versus Tennessee Titans. This game is expected to be so close that there is no spread listed, but instead are going to be strictly betting on the money line. Both Mike McDonald and Brian Callahan are coaching their first preseasons, but the ability to step up in the first game showed a significant difference here. Seattle was able to completely dominate defensively and should be able to do that against the quarterback trio of Will Levis, Malik Willis, and Mason Rudolph. On the other side of the field, Sam Howell has shown the ability to play well in this Seattle system with their second team, as the team was able to score 13 of their 16 points during the second quarter. This Seahawks team is going to be playing well and have the better roster after the starters, as their depth showed their ability to limit points. All in all, go with the Seattle Seahawks to pick up a road win and improve to 2-0 in the NFL preseason as they go up against a weaker Tennessee Titans team in this game. The Seattle Seahawks and the Tennessee Titans showcased their ability to completely dominate on the defensive side of the field last week as the Seahawks gave up 3 points while the Titans allowed 13 total points. One thing Seattle should be able to do is play solid defense since McDonald was a former defensive coordinator. Tennessee was able to run the football extremely well in their opening preseason game to the point they can milk the clock with sustained drives, while Seattle is going to limit the amount of points that they are going to give up. Even looking at the offenses, these teams combined for 33 total points in preseason week 1. The Seahawks were able to go 9-for-20 on third down, but were checking the ball down in the passing game as they averaged just 4.2 yards per pass. Go with under 35.5 points in this game here as the better bet.